Video here talking about the 15 greatest players to ever play basketball in the NBA, in a park, anywhere. Well, obviously in the NBA because that's where the best basketball is played. And I'm going to go over who I believe are the 15 greatest players ever. And unlike ESPN, Bleacher Report, and all these woke places that have these weird um, agendas talking about all these old players are good, I'm going to talk about why this era of basketball is the best era of basketball, as in talent level, shot making ability, everything about basketball is better than it was previously. So I'm going to get started first, and I'm going to talk about why Wilt Chamberlain. You see, I have some people listed on here. Why Wilt Chamberlain is not on my 15 greatest, or this is, I think, 18 players down here. Why is he not? Because Wilt Chamberlain played against absolute jokes, and that's just what it is. Wilt Chamberlain played against jokes. Let's go to YouTube. Let's put some Wilt Chamberlain highlights on right now. So Wilt Chamberlain highlights. Let's see these highlights. And is it fair to base him on, like, look at this. Look who he's going against. We have to remember. This is who he's going against. So I've seen these players before. I've seen them at my local YMCA or Boys and Girls Club back in the day. Like, this is just a joke, right? 6'8" Bill Russell guarding him. I mean, this isn't basketball. This isn't basketball. Come on. You telling me JaVale McGee ain't doing that? You're telling me Ryan Hollins ain't doing that? You're telling me all these decently athletic players aren't doing this to these guys? Like, this is basic NBA basketball, you know? Maybe besides that sky hook, but it's just what it is. So I'm going to be fair. I'm going to not rate him as a 15 greatest players ever. They didn't even have a three-point line back then. So I'm going to be fair. So I'm just letting you know right now that his level of competition, maybe if he played in the 80s, I would give him a little bit more respect, but he didn't. He's basically a walking myth, right? Because people will say, oh, because he had sex with girls, his cock's huge, whatever. That he was a track star. He could have been this. He could have been that. He's a globetrotter. That he is more than a myth than an actual person. And I get it. He's good. He's really good. The best player in his era, right? Or one of the best players in his era. But I cannot put him over guys like Nikola Jokic, who's doing it in this era, or Shaq, or Kareem, because look at who he's going against, you know. So I'm not gonna rate him that way, and Bill Russell as well, Oscar Robertson as well. I'm not gonna put them up here because let's be honest. If you're telling me Oscar Robertson has better handles than me, I'll slap you in the face. Because the game has changed so much. Allen Iverson was hitting Michael Jordan with a crossover that you see every single day now. And everybody thought it was the greatest thing ever. Let's look at this Allen Iverson crossover versus Michael Jordan. You have to remember this. You have to remember this. So this was named one of the greatest plays ever, right? 1.3 million views. Everybody's seen this play. Everybody talks about this play. This Michael Jordan play. These handles. That's a basic crossover now in NBA. Even in high school, that's a basic crossover. Not saying that Allen Iverson has basic handles, because he doesn't, obviously. He's a really good ball handler. But I'm saying is they didn't see those moves back in the 70s. Michael Jordan in the 90s didn't even see those moves. And now there's an in and out crossover, like how Tim Hardaway was doing the between the legs crossover in and out crossover, crossover, double crossover. He was when he was doing that. That's just in our repertoire now, as players growing up. You know, I'm training, I'm drilling, doing double crossover with ankle weights on my wrists, right? Shout out to Jay Wright. But I'm doing that when I'm 8 years old, 9 years old, and this game has just changed so much that the talent level is so much better than it was. So I'm gonna break it up into 4 eras. So the 4 eras are the 80s, the 90s, 2000s, and 2010s and on. Okay? So in the 80s, that's the cokehead era. That's the cokehead and AIDS era. That's what it is. I'm sorry. That's what it is. No lifting weights. Just a bunch of strong men with not really much talent. If you had a little bit of talent, you excelled. Isaiah Thomas excelled. Magic Johnson, bigger, excelled. It was hard for you to excel as it was hard. It was easy for you to excel as if you had a decent amount of talent in the 80s, right? And that's just a fact. Because I mean, who was the guards for? Who were the guards? Danny Ainge was a Celtics point guard. He was good. He was good. He was good. But this guy's not playing in the NBA today. I promise you that. Look at these. Look at this. What is going on? Okay, nice double leg. Okay, I respect that. What did I just put on? Oh, okay. This is just like him being a troll. But he is a good player. He is a good player. Is he NBA caliber? Is he guarding a De'Aaron Fox as a point guard? Is he guarding what's his name? Chris Paul? Is he guarding Steph Curry? Is he guarding all these good John Morant? Is he guarding all these good point guards in the 2010 to 2020 era, like that decade? Is he guarding any of those point guards? No, he's not. So if you had a little bit of skill as an Isaiah Thomas, Vinny Johnson, Joe Dumars, Worthy was a forward, Magic is a point, Byron Scott, yeah, all these guys, right? You thrive in that era because there were just a bunch of hacks, because that's what it was. Because physicality, what is physicality? When you hear all these old heads and these freaking jabronis talking about, oh, the NBA was way more physical back then. Oh, you could do everything. You know what physicality was making up for? It's lack of talent. That's what physicality is making up for. When you have talent, like Michael Jordan's talent in the 80s, you put physicality on him because you cannot make it up with your skill. And the NBA has done a great job of limiting that. You can still be physical, but obviously not as physical. You're not freaking Kurt Rambising getting drilled, right? And with Michael Cooper and whatever and stuff like that. You're not getting drilled. But you're not going to get drilled, but you're going to the NBA right now is getting better, and they're showing that your talent needs to be able to beat his talent, and that's how you win games. Or your IQ needs to beat his IQ, not because you're stronger and you could foul harder. That's why you're good, because that's bullshit. That's absolute bullshit, and that's what the 80s was. That's why I said it's the cokehead AIDS era. No one gives a fuck. That's what it is. So that's the 80s. The 90s. The 90s was the physicality big man era, and that's what it was. A lot of lifting weights. Let's look at these. Look at these physiques of these guys, right? David Robinson. Let's see this freaking jacked arms of David Robinson. Okay, David Robinson. Will it be gay? Look at this. Look at this photo. Look at that jacked arms, right? A lot of steroids. A lot of steroids. A lot of muscle, right? A lot of steroids and muscle. This is the 90s basketball, okay? This is 90s basketball. You have Pat Ewing, David Robinson, Olajuwon. So if you're a big, you dominate. And then if you're a big and you're really good as a big, you're going to be higher up on the list for me, okay? Because that's that era of basketball. And it's vice versa with guards. So 2000s, what is 2000? 2000s is a hybrid between bigs And guards. Why are guards becoming more influential in the 2000s? Obviously because of people see how Magic Johnson played as a guard, even though he was 6'9". Isaiah Thomas, Michael Jordan, um, Kevin Johnson, I guess Tim Hardaway when he was younger. You see these guards getting being flashy and better and dunking on people, and you see this in the 90s and late 80s and early 90s to the whole 90s decade. You see this in the 2000s, and you see them implementing, okay, I want to become a high flyer. I want to be like Mike, like the commercial. And that's where you get all these great players that become wings that are really good. The Kobe's, the Vince Carter's, the McGrady's, the Paul Pierce's, these players that show that they can be good at 6'6", and that you could lead a team. What Michael Jordan showed, you could lead a team at 6'6" and be the best player in the league. You don't have to be a 7-footer like Wilt Chamberlain in the 70s or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the 70s. You know what I mean? You don't have to be a big guy to be able to impact the game. And that shows, you can see that shows in the 2000s where they start implementing more guard systems, right? With Allen Iverson as well. So that's the 2000s. 2010 and 2020 is pure guard era. It's pure guard era, and that's what it is. Why is it pure guard era? Because Michael Jordan's an influence, Kobe's an influence, Allen Iverson's an influence. These guys are influential in the way they play, in who they are. People want to dress up like Allen Iverson with the do-rag and the sleeve and the one leg sleeve. They wanted to dress like that. They wanted the tattoos like Allen Iverson. Everybody wanted that, right? So that's what everybody liked. And the headband, everything like Allen Iverson wearing number 3. How many freaking point guards you see when I saw growing up wearing number 3? A lot, you know. So that's the era of the 2010s that was influenced by Allen Iverson, Kobe, all these guards, right? So obviously they're showing that you can be a guard, you can be a wing and win. And so with that comes the lack of big men. And why is Jokic dominating and winning 3 MVPs, which is insane? Should be 4 because Joel Embiid stole one. But that shows it. So I'm going to go over my 15 greatest players. I know I just went rambling on for 12 minutes, but I'm going to go over my 15 greatest players. So number 15 is Dirk Nowitzki. Why Dirk Nowitzki? Dirk Nowitzki, he is the second best shot maker I've ever seen in my life. And that is because he makes the toughest shots I've ever seen, right? Dirk Nowitzki is the toughest shot maker ever. And second toughest shot maker. The toughest shot maker ever is Kobe Bryant, and it's not close. Okay, look at that. You put guards on him. I remember the Phoenix Suns. They were like, do we put Stoudemire on him? Do we put Brian Grant on him? Do we put Sean Marion on him? Do we put Boris Diaw on him? Do we put Raja Bella guard on him? We don't know how to guard him. They put Quentin Richardson right there on him. They don't know how to guard him, and that is why look how contested all these shots are, and he's averaging 23, 24, 25 points a game for over a decade, and showing why he's one of the greatest. Look at that one-leg jumper. How many people are doing one-leg jumper because of Dirk? Influential, right? Amazing player. Top 15 for sure. Went to the finals in 2007 by himself. Had one of the greatest runs ever in the 2011. Probably this greatest championship run ever by a solo player. I mean, there's obviously Jason Kidd because Jason Kidd's on here. Jason Kidd's an honorable mention, by the way. I'll just get off my 3 honorable mentions. My 3 honorable mentions is Jason Kidd, Harden, and Lillard. Because why Harden and Lillard? Lillard is the second best shooter ever to touch a basketball, behind Curry, obviously. Why is Lillard better than Klay Thompson? Because Klay Thompson is an overrated shooter. I've rebounded for Klay Thompson. Me and him had the same trainer when I was in high school, going to college. I had the same trainer as him. And I used to rebound for Klay, and he used to miss a lot. So I'm like, this guy isn't that great of a shooter because I'm finishing the same drill as him at the same time, damn near, right? And I'm just saying that. So I think Klay Thompson, and it's obviously way harder to shoot doing a step back jumper than shooting a flare screen 3 or a curl three. And it's way harder to shoot a step back jumper contested, this and that, right? So I put Dame Lillard there. James Harden. James Harden was probably the second best player or third best player, maybe third or fourth best player of the decade, and of a guard uh, of an all guard decade, where you have Chris Paul, Westbrook, Curry, a lot of good guards, Paul George. There's a lot of good guards that you're going against, which rivals the 90s of the David Robinson, Alonzo Mourning, Shaq, Hakeem. That is like the same. It's like the same era, but in anti form, right? So that's why I put James Harden there. Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd is the third best point guard ever. I don't think it's close. He can defend. He defends well. He's 6'4". You know what he's really good at? If you're a guard, you'll appreciate this. He changes direction without changing speeds. That is so hard to do. That is so hard to do. And that's why I respect Jason Kidd so much. He went to 2 finals by himself. Kenyon Martin, who was a bust, basically, right? Good player, but not number one. Not a superstar like he was supposed to be. He was his second best player. Keith Van Horn was there. Lucius Harris was there. Kerry Kittles was there. Scalabrine was there. Richard Jefferson rookie year was there. Like, these are just a bunch of average, like, schmokes, right? And not saying they're not good, but they're not championship level role players. And Jason Kidd took that team to back-to-back finals against Paul Pierce, against the Indiana Pacers, against the Pistons. Pistons. They beat the Pistons 2003 finals, conference finals. Jason Kidd took him against the Celtics with the Antoine Walker, Paul Pierce. He took him against a bunch of good teams in the early 2000s. Vince Carter, the Raptors, Orlando Magic. I mean, the East was stacked, because you have to remember that the NBA back then wasn't a big three type of league. It was either a dynamic duo or just one solo player. And Jason Kidd was that solo player, and he went to the finals twice. And then he went to the finals again in 2011. Dirk couldn't get over the hump in 2006 with against Miami Heat, even though he should have, because that series was absolutely rigged. That's why Dwayne Wade's not on here. Dwayne Wade's overrated. Go fucking paint your nails, you fucking weirdo. You freaking go hang out with your freaking daughter, weirdo, you know? So, yeah. I mean, so that's what those three are there. So next, I'm going to go Giannis. Giannis is 14. Why is Giannis 14? Giannis is the second most dominant player of the past 30 years for his era. And number 1 is obviously Shaq. Number 2 is Giannis. Giannis, I would put higher, but he's a big. And he could play center because he can't really shoot. That's his problem. But he's good enough to lead your team to a championship, which he showed. He's good enough to be the number 1 guy, which he showed, right? So, maybe later. Oh, there it is. So, he shows that, right? He shows that. And I'm putting Giannis here. I think that's fair to put Giannis at 14. Giannis is, obviously, everybody knows who Giannis is, so I'm not going to go over a highlight package. Next is Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard is the 13th best player ever. Why? Because when he's playing, everybody's on notice. And you are too. Everybody knows when Kawhi Leonard is playing, oh, it's time. It's business. And even though injuries have really hurt his career the past 4 or 5 seasons, he won a championship with Toronto Raptors. Can we look at this Raptors team? Raptors 2019 NBA championship. NBA stats. How about that? Let's look at this team. So we have Kawhi averaging 26 a game. Kyle Lowry, that's your second best player. Pascal Siakam, a young Pascal Siakam, averaging 17. You have Danny Green, Fred VanVleet, an old Serge Ibaka who's 29, but he was a little older. You know those Africans, they change their age, right? And you have Marc Gasol, who was older, not prime Marc Gasol. Jeremy Lin barely played, right? Yeah, Jonas Valanciunas got traded. So this is your roster, your key roster right here, right? OG Anunoby was younger, not really playing. I think it was like a rookie or second year. And this was your roster. And he took this roster to the playoffs. I would say it's better than Dirk's run, but I can't. But I think it's second to Dirk's run because Dirk, you have to understand, 2011 he played a Blazers team who had Brandon Roy coming back, LaMarcus Aldridge was in his prime, Andre Miller was their point guard, who's a good point guard, one of the assist leaders of all time. Nick Batum was in his prime, and they had a good team. Wes Matthews, they had a good team. I think Wes Matthews was there. They had a good team though, right? And you can put so they beat them in the first round, right? Everybody thought they were gonna lose in the first round to that Blazer team because that Blazer team, if they was healthy, they were good and they were healthy. I think was that Greg Oden too. I'm pretty sure Greg Oden was on that team too. But then 2000, and the next round they played the Lakers and they swept the Lakers, the defending champion Lakers, two-time defending champion Lakers. They swept them, right? And then they played OKC with Kevin Durant and Westbrook, and they beat them. They were underdogs in every single series. They were underdogs. In every single series, they were underdogs. Besides maybe the Blazers one, but semis, conference, and finals, they were all underdogs, and he won. So I'll put his run better. Next is Kawhi. Kawhi played the Magic. They should have won that. They did win that. They won 4-1. Then they played the Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid Sixers, which was the best Sixers team of the past 25, 30 years, 40 years. That is the second best team ever since they won the championship with Moses Malone and Dr. J since '84. That's the second best team ever of Sixers in Sixers history. And they beat them in Game 7 when he hit that shot. He played against the Milwaukee Bucks. They were down 2-0 in that series, I think. And they came back to win 4 straight games. So they were underdogs in that series as well. So then they played the Warriors. And you could say Kevin Durant got hurt, yes. Or Klay Thompson got hurt. Or Klay Thompson got hurt in Game 6. It doesn't really matter. But obviously KD getting hurt really affected that series, but it doesn't matter. I'm not taking that away from Kawhi Leonard. He is the 13th greatest player. Next is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, let's look at this guy's highlights. So Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, look how frail he is. Guy doesn't lift weights. Legend, right? Legend. I mean, he is good. He is really good. Because I wouldn't put it on here if he wasn't good. I think he was a 6-time MVP, 7-time champion, right? He's good. Second leading scorer ever. He is a really good player. But it's the lack of physicality. Can he play like this in the 90s? Because he was older. And he was slowing down. Was it because of age, or was it because of durability, as in frail body? So that's what I can say about Kareem. Kareem is one of the greatest, but I don't think he is a top 5 or top 3 like everybody thinks he is. I don't, because I see, if you look at Hakeem Olajuwon, his post moves, his skill level is clears this. It clears this. Right? So that's what it is. And maybe if Kareem played in a different era, I'll judge him higher, and he played that way. But I can't. Right? I can't. So next is Jokic. Jokic should be a 4-time MVP. Let's look at Jokic highlights. Let me get fucking horny real quick looking at Jokic highlights. I went to like 7 Denver Nuggets games because this guy is an absolute freak, right? So Nikola Jokic, the one bad thing about Nikola Jokic is that he's not playing in a big post-game heavy era of basketball. So that affects him. That affects him hard, right? I put him here because he belongs. If he wins 2 more championships, he will be a top 5 player ever. He will. If he wins another MVP, he's probably a top 8 player ever. So he should be a 4-time MVP, but he just changes the game. The guy averages almost a triple-double every single season. He's a monster. He literally can choose if I want to be aggressive or not. That's how crazy this guy is. He can choose that if, like, you don't see Kareem Abdul-Jabbar doing that. You don't see Kareem Abdul-Jabbar doing that. He's better than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You can't tell me he's not. Look at that. Look at that. That's against Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is a really, really good player. He's a top 25, 30 player ever. But look at this. You don't see Kareem Abdul-Jabbar running the court, running a fast break, and doing all this stuff. Look at that. You don't see that. That's insane. That's insanity. So he is up there. People that don't even rate him top 11, 12, you're insane. You don't watch basketball. You know this guy affects. This guy is winning MVPs in a LeBron James, Steph Curry era. That is insane. That is insane. Oh, you can't give it to LeBron every year. Yeah, it doesn't matter. He shows that he's the best. Serbia took Team USA to the brink of elimination in the Olympics. Like, that's how good Nikola Jokic is. Him and Bogdanovic. Like, this is how good Nikola Jokic is as a player. So you have to put him up here. Next is Hakeem Olajuwon. Hakeem Olajuwon, nope, actually no, I'm not going to put that. Next is Larry Bird. Larry Bird, why? So I never thought, because obviously I'm a little younger. I'm 28. I started watching basketball in like 2000s, like when Lakers started winning, because I'm from SoCal. But Larry Bird, he belongs up here. He's the top 10 player of all time, right? And no one's really arguing that. I never thought Larry Bird was good until I saw Luka doing what Luka's doing. And then I'm like, all right, Larry Bird must have been fucking legit and cold. And then I watched Larry Bird highlights again with a different view. Because you can watch him in the short shorts and the shaggy hair and be like, all right. Like, no, you need to see Larry Bird. There's one highlight of Larry Bird versus Atlanta Hawks. Oh, yeah, this is crazy. Look at this Atlanta Hawks reaction to the bench of how hot Larry Bird is, right? Larry Bird, he's up there. I mean, let's go. Where is it? Let's fast forward. I want to see the reaction. You need to see the reaction of the bench of the Hawks. They're like, he's like kneeing him. You see that? Look at this. Look at the reaction. The Hawks bench. They're like holding each other. They know that something special is going on, and this is like special, right? This is special. They're sick of it. They snorted a line of cocaine. Let's see this. Look at that. Look at the bench. Look at the bench. That's how good Larry Bird was. Larry Legend, right? One of the best ever. One of the best top 10 player ever, right? That's how good Larry Bird is. There was one shot that's like insane that you guys go crazy about. Where is it at? Where is it at? Is it this one? It's this one, I think, right here. Nope, not that one. Okay, well, I want to show it. I want to see it. Look at Danny Ainge. Legendary point guard, right? Where is it when these guys go fucking crazy? Oh, is it here? Look at these guys. Look at these guys. These guys go absolutely nuts that Larry Bird's just fucking cream pieing their team right now. Right? Look at this. Look at this. Like, look at this shot making ability by Larry Bird. That's tough shooting right there. He's one of the greatest shooters ever. And you think Klay Thompson can make that? You think Klay Thompson can do that? No way. No way. Can we go more? Look at this bench reaction. That is a nasty shot. Look at that. That's insane. This is the opposite team bench. The Atlanta Hawks bench, by the way. Did I mention that? So Larry Bird belongs on there. He's one of the greatest ever. He's top 10 for sure. Maybe I'll fiddle this thing next. Next, I have Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's number 9. Kevin Durant would be higher on my list because he is the second best player of this 2020, 2010s era, right? Since 2010s when he went to the FIBA and he won, that's when he became the second best player. The babyface assassin, the Slim Reaper, Durantula, whatever you want to call him. He is an absolute fucking bucket, Kevin Durant. He just knows how to play basketball, right? Highlights. There's a reason why people see Kevin Durant and they know. Like Team USA, game on the line versus Serbia. Who do they give the ball to? There's LeBron on your team. There's Curry on the team. No, let's give the ball to Durant. Give the ball to the best scorer ever. The best scorer ever. He can score on all levels. No one can shoot. No one's 6'11", 7 foot. He lies about it. He's 7 foot for sure. No one's 7 foot and can shoot like this, can handle like this. Nobody. There's been people that thought they could. People like a left-handed Beasley, Austin Day. Remember Austin Day? People thought he was gonna be Durant. Bruno Caboclo. Everybody thought somebody was gonna be Durant. They think they're the Durant because they're 7 footers. Porzingis. They think they're Durant, but they're not. They're not Durant. Durant's a different species. This guy's a monster. You have to, and he plays defense too. He's a monster. He's top 10 for sure. You can't argue that. His handle's insane. He shows that this is like people say, oh, you have to rough him up in the 90s and the 80s. You won't be able to play. You want to be able to guard his shot in the 80s. Who is guarding him at 6? He's 6'11". He can handle like a point guard. Kevin McHale is going to guard him? Robert Parrish is going to guard him? Mark Eaton's going to guard him? Greg Ostertag in the 90s is going to guard him? No, these guys are not going to be able to guard him because he's a 7-footer. You're gonna put who on him? You in the 2000s, you're gonna put Raja Bell on him? You're gonna put Bruce Bowen up? No, you can't. He's too big. He's just too big. He's too big, too slick, too good. So that's Kevin Durant, right? That's Kevin Durant. Next, I'm putting Hakeem Olajuwon. Right? Hakeem Olajuwon. Hakeem Olajuwon is the best post player in NBA history. There's a reason why Kobe Bryant went to go work with him, why Dwight Howard went to go work with him. He's the best post player in NBA history. It's not close. His footwork is insane. They literally call it the dream shake because of him. Like, you're telling me that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is better than him in a 90s era where all these guys were lifting weights and pounding the ball inside and showing touch, like David Robinson, Pat Ewing, Shaq. Like, look at this. This is insane what he's doing. That's against good players. So you have to remember, Karl Malone's a big guy. Charles Barkley, 6'5", big guy, right? There's Charles Oakley right there. There's good players that he's playing against. Sean Kemp, like Vlade Divac. There's good players he's playing against, and he's making them look like it's barbecue chicken, right? He's making it look easy. He's making it look easy. He's making it look like Michael Thompson. It's look at that. Look at that. There's just you can't guard that. You can't guard that, and you cannot guard this in any era. Well, Chamberlain's not guarding this, right? Well, Chamberlain's not guarding that. Even Shaq can't guard it. Shaq, probably the second best athlete ever in the Orlando Magic. First is obviously I think Michael Jordan. Maybe LeBron. Maybe third best athlete. LeBron's probably second. But you're telling me like you can't guard. This is just footwork, beautiful basketball. He is number 8 on my list. Who's next? Next, I'll have to be fair. Who should I put next? Next is Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson's next. Magic Johnson, honestly, the thing about Magic Johnson, what's the thing about Magic Johnson? Magic Johnson, the problem with Magic Johnson is that he's a 6'9" point guard that can't shoot. And that's what it was. And no one really game planned for making him a scorer. And that's what they should do. You could say, oh, but dude, he had 40 points when he took over as center because Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was injured. Yeah, in 79 he did that, bro. Stop. Come on. And he played in an era where it was cokehead and AIDS. And he was the main culprit. He was fucking girls and guys. And he is good, but he's not top 5. He's not, because he does show skill. He shows a lot of skill, but I've seen this skill. I've seen these skills in modern basketball. You're telling me just based on him having 5 championships, How many MVPs does Magic Johnson have? Magic Johnson, what, 5 MVPs? 3 MVPs? I think Larry Bird has 3. He has 5. 3 times most valuable player. So 3 MVPs. You could put him there. I think he's here. I think he's at 7. I think that's a fair place to put him. I don't care about ESPN and whatever's mock draft, what they have him. I don't care. Next, it's Kobe Bryant. No. Yeah, it's Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant's the 6th greatest player ever. Why is Kobe Bryant the 6th greatest player? If you want to talk about pure skill, Kobe Bryant is the most skilled player in basketball history, right? He's the most skilled player in basketball history. You want to know why? Because he works his ass off. He was athletically gifted. You're telling me right now that if Kobe Bryant didn't play in the 90s, he would have 6 championships either? If this Kobe Bryant, 2006 through 2010 Kobe Bryant, played in the 90s, he would not have 6 championships? Who was going to guard him? Dan Marley? Clyde Drexler? Porter from Terry Porter? Like who was going to guard him? Gerald Wilkins? Like who was going to guard him? He's going against other guys, because this is fair to say, he's going against guys in his era that become more guard centric in that era, because Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson and Isaiah Thomas, they showed you can win in the 80s and 90s with guards. So you don't have to just pass the ball in the post 100 times like they did back in the day. You can win with guards. And Michael Jordan, Magic, Isaiah Thomas, these guys showed that, and Kobe was a new improved version, because you have to think about it like this. What is this world? This world advances day by day. Day by day it advances. You get better phones. Remember there was flip phones remember there was those blocky phones, and then there was flip phones, and then there was touchscreen phones, LG chocolate, and then there was iTouches and iPhones, and now we have actual big iPhones, right? We have big iPhones, right? And that's it just gets better. Football, the quarterbacks get better. Basketball, the players, especially guards, get better. And Kobe Bryant was dominant for his era, right? He was dominant for his era. He was really, really good. One of the best ever. And he is the best shot maker I've ever seen in my life. And I don't even think it's close. Him and Dirk are the 2 best shot makers I've ever seen. They make the most crazy shots I've ever seen in my life. I mean, I've seen Kobe go off for 60 in games before. I missed the freaking 65-point game. I'm pretty pissed off about it versus the Trailblazers. I should have went to that game. But Kobe, you have to understand, he is top 6. Is he better than Mike? Skill for skill, yes. I would say skill for skill, he's better than Michael Jordan. He's a better ball handler. He's a way better shooter, but he's just not as athletic. And his hands are smaller, and that's what it is. So next, I'm going to go in my list is Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan. Why is Tim Duncan better than Kobe? Because Tim Duncan, you have to understand, Tim Duncan was unguardable. For 13 years, Tim Duncan was unguardable. Nobody could touch Tim Duncan back in the day. Nobody could touch Tim Duncan back in the day. And he was playing in an era, again, in the 2000s where you had Shaq, you had Webber, you had Rasheed Wallace, you had Garnett, you had Dirk. You had a lot of these good power forwards that are surging, that are becoming not just these 90s bigs where it's all back to the basket. You had the face-up bigs now in the 2000s. And he dominates. He dominates. He seals well. He does everything well. He's not as flashy, obviously, as Kobe or all these other KD or all these other guys, but he makes it work. This is why he's a winner. You could say that, oh, we had Tony Parker, this and that. Dude, Tony Parker became Tony Parker in 2007. He was always a good point guard, but he was never a top point guard like all these people now who want to discredit Tim Duncan. He was never a top 4 or 5 point guard in the NBA in his career. He wasn't better than like Gilbert Arenas at the time. He wasn't better than CP3. He wasn't better than Steph Curry. He wasn't. Steph Curry was a little bit older, I guess. No, it's like they're on the same. He wasn't better than Westbrook. He wasn't better than these guys. When he was playing, he wasn't better than all these guys. Darren Williams, AI when AI was there, he wasn't better. So that's and you can say Manu Ginobili. They had Manu Ginobili too. Manu Ginobili is a really, really good player. He's a great player in the system. I don't know if Manu Ginobili though, without that system, would be great in the NBA. And that's the truth, because even though he is really good, Manu Ginobili, there's a lot of he's not even European. There's a lot of foreign players, international players that come into play, even though they show they're good. Look at Bielicha from the Timberwolves and the Warriors. He is amazing. Like, if you've seen that guy play, especially in Europe, he's really, really good. But his game just doesn't translate. And Popovich did a great job making Manu Ginobili's game translate. And people fault Tim Duncan because of that Spurs franchise. And that's unfair to Tim Duncan, right? That's unfair to Tim Duncan. So I'm going to put Tim Duncan where he belongs, which is number 5. Next is Shaq. Shaq, no. Nope. Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan's 4. Michael Jordan's 4. Why is Michael Jordan 4? It's because of the era he played in. He wasn't going against, like, I talked about this. He wasn't going against these players that changed, that was giving him, these guards that were giving him problems and issues. He wasn't going against them. He was the new thing. Because like Hakeem Olajuwon in the 90s, you have to understand this. In the 90s, Hakeem Olajuwon was the best of the bigs, right? And that was the best bigs era, as in back to the basket post-up bigs. And it's not close, right? While the 2000s is more of the face-up game bigs. And 90s, Hakeem Olajuwon was the best of the best bigs. You cannot tell me that Michael Jordan is the best guard of the best guard era, because the best of the best guard era is 2010s to now, right? Actually, we'll say 2014, when Steph Curry started becoming hot, right? Now I'm hot and they all want me. So that's where you can say that he belongs, as in 2014 is when the eras. If Michael Jordan was doing that here, I would put him higher. He probably is number 1 if he was doing that. But he's not, and he didn't do that. So I can't say that he is better than he's better than Shaq. I can't say that. Because Shaq did it in 2 different decades. He did it in the 90s and he did it in the 2000s. And that's fair to say for me. He did it in the 90s, right? You could say, oh, all these fucking clowns talking about the 80s. The 80s, they had why did Michael Jordan not win in the 80s? Oh, why didn't they not win in the 80s? People reach their primes at different time. Primes at different time, you know? And he reached his prime in 89, 90, going to the finals in 91. But look who he's going against. Like, these are great shots. It's an iconic shot. It's an iconic shot, right? And he's a good player. He's a great player. Top 4 greatest players ever. But again, I can't put him because I didn't see him in the best guard era. I can't put him there. And just like everything in life that gets better, technology advances, sports advances, right? Pitchers get better in baseball, hitters get better in baseball. Why can't we accept the fact that people in basketball just get better? Right? Why can't everybody just accept the fact that people in basketball just get better? We have better technology. We can normatech after a game. We know we have scientific evidence of what helps us play better basketball, what helps our endurance, what helps everything about what strength and conditioning we need. What we have everything to show that shows what helps in basketball, right? In modern era. And why can't we accept that with basketball players? You can't tell me that Jordan is the best shooter if of guards. Is he the best shooter of guards? The one thing you can for sure say about him is that he's the best athlete as a guard ever, right? He's the best athlete as a guard ever. You can say that for sure. But you cannot say he's the best ball handler. You can't say he's the best shooter. You could probably say he's the best finisher around the rim. But again, no, you can say he's the best finisher. You can say the best finisher. You can. Because he was doing it against big 90s guys who are physical, strong, and you could put him there. So I would say he's the best finisher of guards. But saying he's a top number one player just because he won 6 out of 6 is insane to me. You're just gonna fault players to lose that make it more, right? You're just gonna fault Kobe, who made it 7 times. You're just gonna fault him because this guy wanted to take a hiatus because of his gambling debts. You just want to fault Kobe because of that. You want to fault LeBron for losing when he's had an inferior team for the last decade, besides against the Miami Heat series and the Mavericks Heat series, that he had the inferior team every single year. You're just gonna fault him. LeBron, for that. That's insane. So I put Jordan there. Third is Curry. Curry's the third greatest player ever. Why is third greatest player ever? He's the best guard of the best guard era. He's the best guard of the best guard era. Best ball handler. One of the best ball handlers, right? You can say him or Kyrie Irving. Best shooter, right? Off the dribble, best shooter, obviously. He changed the game. He literally changed the game. He is so influential that he made himself made Under Armour basketball relevant for a little bit, right? And this is just fair to say. Because look at these highlights of Steph Curry. I mean, he's the best guard of the best guard era, and that's all you can say. He's won 4 championships, right? 2 MVPs. He should have won more MVPs. 2 MVPs or 3 MVPs? Let me see. He's voting for Kamala Harris, though. I don't like that. But whatever. 2 MVPs, 4-time champion, 10-time All-Star. Yeah. I mean, you have to put him 3. He is so impactful in games that the Warriors, he makes Steve Kerr look like a good coach. Steve Kerr is the same guy that said, we cannot play Jason Tatum versus South Sudan because it's not a good matchup. Steve Kerr, Team USA is the matchup. South Sudan should be breaking their backs to match up with you guys. They should be benching players. You should not be benching Jason Tatum. I don't even like Jason Tatum, and I think that was fucked up. That is the dumbest thing. You are Team USA. You have to let them match up to you. That's like United States telling a country like South Sudan, we're gonna accommodate by your rules in this whatever United Nations. If you want to join the United Nations or NATO, whatever it's called, right? You want to join? We'll abide by your rules, South Sudan. Even though we're USA, we're the powerhouse. We're the number one country in the world. We'll abide by your rules. No, you show power. You show dominance, and that's what Steph Curry was dealing with Steve Kerr. So Steph Curry is number 3. You obviously know my take about Klay Thompson. I think he's really overrated. He had Draymond Green. He made that team look electric. That team, I mean, look at how many people on that team. Maurice Spates had a resurgence in that team. Leandro Barbosa had a resurgence after banging Steve Nash's wife. Um, Sean Livingston, after blowing out his knee, had a resurgence in Golden State. Like Andrew Bogut, after being a bust in Milwaukee, had a resurgence in Golden State. That's because of Steph Curry. That's because of Steph Curry. He makes his teammates better. He's a winner, and that's what you need. You need winners, and he is a winner. You know how hard it is to win as a guard? You know there's only three players. I think it's Magic, Isaiah Thomas. Just Magic and Isaiah Thomas. Those are the, as their best player. Am I missing anything? As their best player, they won a championship. As the main person on the team, you won a championship with a point guard is Steph Curry, Isaiah Thomas, and Magic Johnson. Only three. Only three. So you have to put him up here. I think he's better than Jordan. I think he's more skilled than Jordan. He has better handles. I think he's better than Jordan everywhere besides finishing. I think he's better than Jordan everywhere. And defense, let's talk about Jordan's defense. Jordan's defense was good. He was a good defender. But also, remember, hand check. He got crossed by Allen Iverson. Let's play this back again, right? He got crossed by Allen Iverson with this. And we're telling me Allen Iverson's a better ball handler than Steph Curry? You're insane. You think Michael Jordan can guard Steph Curry? You're insane. He can't. The game's changed. The game's different. He can't. He won't be able to guard that. How are you going to guard in and out between the legs, behind the back, step back? How is he going to guard that? He can't. He cannot guard that. So let's talk about defense, right? Michael Jordan. And let's talk about this fake Michael Jordan stat of Michael Jordan. Defensive player of the year stats, home, away. The disparity between blocks and steals between home and away games is a whopping 182% difference during this 1987-88 season, recording 165 steals at home and 94 on the road. The same one steal gap blew away the season's competition, with the closest gap being 47. Closest gap to Jordan was 47 from Alvin Robertson. So that's what was going on over there. Shady business in Chicago. So next is Shaq. Why is Shaq? Shaq is the most dominant player ever. He could play in any era. 70s, he would dominate. 80s, he would dominate. 90s, he dominated. 2000s, he dominated. 2010s, he would have dominated. 2020s, he would have dominated. Because what Jokic is doing is what Shaq would be doing in 2020. And Shaq, he won an MVP. He should have won like 2 or 3. If he stayed in shape, he would be a lot better. But in those prime years, in 96, remember, he went to the finals as well. He lost to Hakeem Olajuwon, but he went to the finals with Nick Anderson, Horace Grant, and Dennis Scott and Scott Skiles. That was his team. So he went to the finals. And he went to the finals with Kobe. Obviously, Kobe's a really, really good Robin. Probably the best Robin ever during that run, right? And Shaq, you have to put him at second. He could play in any era. He dominated in the 90s when the best of the bigs of the bigs. He dominated in the hybrid era of the 2000s. He dominated, and it's just a fact. That's what it is. And people want to criticize him because he can't shoot, or he can't make free throws, or he'll foul out, or how is he going to do when he switches on defense? He would be in a lot better shape like he was in the 90s or in 2005 when Pat Riley made him get in shape, and he would be better. But who would guard him? People say, oh, how is Shaq going to guard and pick and roll? How does Jokic guard and pick and roll? They hide him. They can hide Shaq. People say, oh, Jokic can't guard. Jokic is doing fine. He won a championship. He's won 3 MVPs. Should be 4. He's doing fine. Shaq would be fine in this era. He would dominate this era. He would average 30 points in this era. You think guys like JaVale McGee or Joel Embiid's considered big. Shaq is massive. So that's my take on Shaq. Number 1 is obviously LeBron. I hate this guy. I think he's a queer, but I hate him. But he's the best player ever, right? He's the best player ever. And that's fair to say. He's went to, 9 or 10 finals? I don't even remember. Was he a 4-time champion? LeBron James finals appearance record. How's your record? How about that? He's won 10 times, 4 and 6. But you have to remember, versus the Warriors, he's underdogs every time versus the Warriors. That's not even fair. Okay. Uh, People say Cry Me a River. I'm not. I don't like LeBron. I don't like LeBron. I think he's a piece of shit. Right? I think he's self-centered. I think he lies a lot. Um, I don't like what he said about China. That really turned me off about him. Not that I was turned on by him, but that's what it is. I say that he's number one because he is the most dominant. You saw in Team USA when he was playing and rested. He is the best player still in the world. But he can't do that through an 82 game season. And that's the problem. But it doesn't matter because this is not a 2024 list. This is a all-time list. And in 2011, 12, 13 with the Heatles, he was amazing. His run with the Cleveland Cavaliers, the second stint was amazing. That 2007 runs with LeBron in Cavaliers versus the Pistons was amazing. He's a really, really good player. He's a really good player, and that's all you have to respect about LeBron. He's number one on the list. People saying that he's not are insane. They're dumb. They need to get a drug test. They need to do something. Not freaking watch NBA basketball. But that's my list. That's my 1 through 15. This is honestly the best list you can make. There's nothing wrong with this list at all. I just gave you very valid points of why I believe everybody here is where they should belong. People that say Michael Jordan that should be number one or number two, fuck you. You didn't know. You don't know anything. You're a dumb piece of shit. I gave you good valid points of why he's not. You could say I don't think he can dominate in an era like now because I don't think his ball handling's great. I don't think he can shoot threes because his 3-point percentage was really bad. Let's look. Okay, you guys want to say? Let's see his Michael Jordan 3-point percentage stats. So Michael Jordan stats: 29%, 18, 23, 37, 42, 50, 35, 27, 31, 37, 27, 13, 18. So he is a career. Look how many threes he's like shot too. 3 threes a game. Like, come on, bro. 3 threes a game. This is what he was shooting. He's a career 32% free throw 3-point shooter. And the line was closer back in the day. They moved the line back. So his game, obviously, maybe if he had technology today, he would be better. But if he just took a time travel machine and came here, he would not dominate. That's my opinion. But he won 6 championships, so you have to give him respect. He built a billion-dollar brand. You have to respect that. He is one of the greatest ever, top 4. But this is my list. This is my top 15 greatest players ever. So thank you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. Like and subscribe, please. Thank you.